Okay.
Hey there, it's Brian Sebastian, movie reviews and more, worldwide TV entertainment, womenOnTV.tv, iTube 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee, and iHeartRadio and all the platforms around the world. So I've been looking forward to this because, again, it's all about farming. It's really the soul of farming. And what better person than Roger, the director, producer, editor, and all these things to talk about this. This is really, really special, and I'll tell you why. It's always about having good soil. And a lot of people don't realize if you don't have that good soil, you're in trouble. So on our ranch, and the reason I say this, our ranch in Mariposa, our soil has never had fracking, it's never had a fire on it, and it's never been contaminated. And we're going 10 acres of our own food on there. So imagine how much I can relate to what you made in this film. Talk about that.
Thank you. Actually, Early Girl Farm, where Patty Gentry farms, was an army base. And so for the first bunch of years, she's farmed for 10 years. They're digging up cement. It was terrible. The soil was awful. And as she says in the film, she put 15 tons of some great thing to be able to improve the soil, and it didn't take. So it's not just doing it right, it's taking the time and taking the energy. And Patty is so passionate and so interested. Anything she does, she goes, "Oh, this is so beautiful. I can't wait to grow it. My chefs are going to love this. The people are going to love this."
Well, you know, she's correct when it comes to it, because again, it's about that soil. And I had one of my friends, he's an inventor. He's in Montana right now. His name is Michael Smith. He goes, "We have 60 years of soil left." And I go, "I think we have 50 years of good soil left, and that's it." And you know what happens? If we don't have good soil, you can't grow anything, obviously. So talk about this, and Patty is definitely right, because when you have that good soil, you can tell what kind of food is being grown out of there. And then a lot of my friends on the fitness side of stuff, it's always about that great food. You got to have good, healthy food. But again, it starts in the soil. So talk about that.
Yeah, Patty is one of a growing number of farmers that farm very small plots of land. She has just 3 acres. And the belief is you can improve your yield, you can get better, more tasty vegetables from improving the soil. We started filming in 2016 in the fall, filmed through 2017, and picked up again in 2019. She says, and you have to listen to this because it sounds counterintuitive. She says in 2019, she planted 25% less and yielded 50% more. And that's all because of the soil. And the other thing that means is she's not throwing away as much as she used to. Stuff that came out of the ground and didn't look good. Patty's a perfectionist. She serves some of the hot chefs and restaurants in Brooklyn. And she sends them things that are so beautiful and so pristine. You know, I was at the farmer's market a couple of weeks ago. I bought lettuce. I had to clean it 3 times to get the dirt out in order to eat it. Patty would die before she let something like that go off her farm. And if it's not good enough, as Missy Robbins, a famous chef in Brooklyn, and Missy and Lilia says, she'll either call me up and say, "I'm not sending it to you," or "I'm sending it to you for free," because it's just not up to snuff. Her landlord is Isabella Rossellini, the famous actress and activist. And Isabella has a farm surrounding Patty's where she studies animals. She has cooney pigs and some heritage chickens. And she says, "Patty," I'm not going to try to imitate her Italian. Patty says that I can take her throwaways to her vegetables, but I go through it first because I think she throws away some things that other farmers would sell. That says it all.
Exactly. And that is very, very true. And the reason why I like this film and I wanted to talk about this because it is so very, very important. I tell people, I've been saying this since 2018, May of 2018. It was the same year I picked Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to win. May 2018, I picked them. You had to see the process. October 3rd is the day that I started sending out emails for all the stuff for anything environmentally friendly, sustainable for our ranch in Mariposa for net zero. And so when I saw this coming up, I always tell people it takes an average of 7 years to get a documentary finished, completed, and that because you start, you have to stop, when everything happens, and you know what that's like. But I always tell these people so they're prepared for the process of doing this. So when you started and then when you finish, talk about those gaps in between, because these future documentary filmmakers, producers, editors really don't know what it's like to do what you did to finish this film.
Yeah, and I think people don't understand what a farmer goes through. I think that basically the soul of a farmer bursts the romance we have of farm to table. We, for those of us who can afford shopping at farmers markets and farm stands, it's a beautiful thing. The people on the other side of the table, the farmers, it's a constant struggle. And Patty, my wife and I became very good friends with Patty. And then I decided to make this film about her. And every winter she would have us over and say, can you help me think about how I can get through the winter? What else can I do? What can I do next year? And you're right. It's a struggle also to make films. And when I finished shooting in 2017, that fall and winter and spring, I felt, you know what? I need more of this. And I guess you could say, luckily, I was also shooting another film at the same time called The Second Life of Jamie P., which I really need to get out there. So I started editing that film. When I came back in 2019 to film Patty again, the whole farm had changed, and it turned out to be a very good thing that I had stopped. Documentary filmmakers, we all are looking for the thing that might be unexpected and change the trajectory of the film. And that turned out to be a very good thing, waiting those 2 years, because chefs, I don't want to say they're fickle, but they have to respond to their clientele, to their guests that come to the restaurant. So this week they may order 40 pounds from Patty, and the next week she's so excited that they've ordered so much, they may order nothing. And one year, a chef who happens to be a very good friend asked her to plant a whole field of something. And then the chef got caught up in opening another restaurant and couldn't order anything from Patty.
Wow.
Plowed the whole field. So it's a tough business. I guess we share that. Documentary filmmaking is not an easy task to pursue, but I love it. And if you're a young filmmaker, you have to follow your passion. You have to go for it.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I tell people you better be in love with the project, the product, and the people that you're working with, or else it's you could spend years being in your own nightmare that you created yourself. And on the other side of that, that's why it's important for us, what few of us reviewers that are left that are passionate about this, to get the word out on things, because these things like that are important. And I tell people on our ranch, we have it in the right place because the earth has changed. And I'm sure you saw what Patty was going through, not only with the soil, but with the restaurants. So we're doing it on a self-reliant type of thing where a lot of people will come to us because we're close to Yosemite. So Yosemite National Park had 5 million views in 2019. I said, with the viewers that we have 10 million views right now. Between now and the end of the year, I could get to either 12, the minimum, or 15 million, the max. But by next year, by April 2nd of next year, I'll have 20 or 25. My goal is to help people like you, to help people like Patty, get those words out and about what the things that are being created. And when it comes to food like that, well, hey, we have a food shortage, we have a water shortage. On our ranch, the Green Artist Ranch, we don't have any of those shortages, and you know how important that is. So
Yeah.
that's where we come in to help people like yourself. And that's one reason why it's important that I do this interview, not only with you and then with Patty, because I understand what's happening with all of those things like that. And a lot of people, they just think, oh, we're going to go to the farmer's market and get this. But you know what it's like going to a farmer's market and getting something that you have to clean 3 times. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And, Patty works so hard. She says in the film, she says it's not the work that tires me out. It's the worry about money that tires her out. And so, this is a film that shows people how difficult it is and how wonderful it is. And Patty is this incredible personality who somehow takes every setback and turns it into this positive educational experience. And people are going to fall in love with her and wish they were on Long Island and wish they could join her CSA. At the end of the film, Patty starts her first CSA. So that again, two years later. And she says people just love coming here. And she had put this thing called long beans. They're like string beans, but they're a foot long. Wow. On the list for the chefs. Not one chef ordered them, but she had her CSA members, and she was able to then give a pound of these wonderful beans to her CSA members who just loved them. And then she's also, being a chef, she says, here's how I'm going to prepare them. Here's what you could do with them. Here's what you have in your bag. So, the film has, I haven't really counted in a while. It's been in over 25 film festivals. It just showed a couple of weeks ago at the Hamptons International Film Festival, one of the really top festivals in the country. And just this week, what day is today? Friday. On Wednesday, it was released on iTunes, Apple TV, and Vimeo. So I hope you'll put that in your link when you're writing about the film, because it would be great. And I'm just thrilled. I'm really excited.
I will do that. And since I'm the CEO, I can talk about anything that I want for as long as I want. And I tell people I don't do one and done, because when you have a good film, there's always somebody that's never seen it around the world. And that's why I always put it on certain lists. And I'll go back. I might skip a couple of weeks because there's other films that I have, and I'll go back and I'll talk about it again, because there's always a new listener, a new viewer with us who wants to know, hey, what are you seeing? Because there's so many different platforms. So I would be honored to do that. Plus, it's a great film, and it helps Patty, because I like to do follow-ups with stuff. That's me. And I was going to ask you, would you revisit it, or are you done with it, would you say right now? Say 2 years from now. Would you do a Michael Apter?
No, I think I'm done with that. My films have been on many different subjects, artists and history and culture. But I think I said what I need to say about Patty. We're close friends, but I think she's happy that I'm not following her around anymore.
Yeah, this past year, there was a French film, and it was about this family in southern France where the workers had been going for 2, 3, and almost 4 decades. And then as time was going on, they lost those family members who were coming to help in the farm, and they had a farm shortage. There's no difference from what Patty's going through to what they were going through. There's a shortage for farmers, there's a shortage for everything. But the whole thing that we rely on is we can't have a shortage on food or water. We won't survive. And again, I always tell people, without that soil, we don't make it. Without bees, without trees, we don't make it.
Yeah, and it's not just about being organic. As Missy Robbins, the chef who I mentioned earlier, says, you can have organic that just doesn't taste so good. And so it's the soil, and it's caring for the vegetables and growing everything right. Having luck, Mother Nature is going to do her thing, whether you like it or not. I spoke to Patty earlier in the year, and it had rained 4 inches the night before, and she was plowing up a whole field of lettuce. I mean, that hits you very, very hard. And yet again, Patty takes that as this positive experience. Well, okay, I'm on to the next thing. I'm pulling up the lettuce and I'm gonna plant something else. And and she'd be happy to talk to you if you want to revisit, and she could tell you all the things that have succeeded and what she's done to improve her farm.
Well, it is, and that would be great because for us, it is about, we know the reason why we chose Mariposa because it was higher enough up altitude-wise. We saw volcanic ash. We saw, in case of tsunami, it hit. We put everything in just in case because the world has changed. I call it climate crisis and not climate control. Climate change. It's because it is that. And Patty is no different. She's in Long Island, so the weather is changing there. So it would be fascinating when I call her or even go and visit next year, because our whole job is to help. And again, go back to talk about the documentary or the film. That's how I like to do things like that, if that makes sense.
I agree completely. And she'd be happy to talk to you.
What would get the audience to see this film, first of all? And then what's the other film that you're working on?
I am developing a new project called Guitar Crazy. It's about the people that have made their lives making beautiful music, that the sound of a guitar is the most incredible thing they've ever done. We're talking about Jackson Browne and Emmylou Harris and Kev Moe and Bonnie Raitt, who, Jackson Browne says that a particular guitar, one guitar, brings him a song, and that guitar may never bring him a song again. It's also about the people who collect guitars. Some people have 1,000 guitars, hundreds of guitars, and some of the guitar collectors don't even play the guitar. It's about like a collector in painting. They just want to look at it and see it, and it's an investment. We are developing it right now, and funding. You talked about how long it takes to make a film. Most of that is about funding. Most of that is about getting investors or nonprofit. This is going to be both, people to pay attention and say, wow, this is a great film. And so I'm very excited about this and hoping these great musicians and stars, some of the most famous in the world, will agree to talk to me. John Mayer will bring 40 guitars on the road with him and line up 20 guitars behind him. I'm thinking, why? And then change guitars on every song. Well, I'm not a guitar player, but I want to know. Don't you want to know why you see a guitar? And why are they doing that? Just because they can? No, because there's something in that guitar that speaks to them that has to be played on this song. So, and it's not just rock and roll. There's a guitarist named Anna Vidovic, a guitarist. She's a classical guitarist. She has 2 guitars, and they're identical. One is just backup. She doesn't need dozens of guitars. She needs one to make the most ethereal music, one of the most famous classical guitarists in the world. So thank you for asking. In a few years, I hope you'll get to see Guitar Crazy.
That's going to be a great documentary. And the reason I said that, I'm not a guitar player either, but I get all the stuff sent to me from Gibson. I'm a drummer. And I always say us drummers bang harder. But those guitar players, like you said, I never heard that said before, but it is true. So that means you got to talk to my friend Leland Sklar. So he's the bass player for 19 years for Phil Collins. So he actually played on Jackson, Linda Ronstadt, James Taylor. So the documentary on them is through my friend Danny Tedesco on the 5 players. They're the only ones in the world. They call the immediate family. And if you need Leland Sklar number, I'd love to give you. So Leland right now is the most famous bass player in the world. So his book is called Everybody Loves Me. So he has everybody flipping him off, from President Clinton to, I think Barack Obama's in there, to famous one of Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, and Waylon Jennings. He's got like 10,000, but his guitar, his bass guitar is something, and he's become a friend of ours because we just simply connected. And Now he just likes coming on our show. But their documentary is on the 5 members that actually played on all those people that you said their albums, but actually toured. So the Funk Brothers, they were all jazz musicians. They never toured with Motown. They just played on the albums. The Wrecking Crew, they just played in the sessions for the Beach Boys and Frank Sinatra's. These guys, the immediate family, they're the ones who played on all those great albums, but actually toured with them. They're the only 5 in the world. And that documentary comes out the end of January. So I look forward to seeing you. I will be more than honored once you get it going to help you promote that. All right.
We'll come back together. I thank you so much for inviting me on the show, and people can watch The Soul of a Farmer right now, as soon as you hang up here, on iTunes, Apple TV, and Vimeo. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, Roger, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And as I always say this, if you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours, because the world needs it. I'm Brian Sebastian. This is Movie Reviews and More, and we will see you next week.